Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I am Daniel.
I'm Chris.
And we are the hosts of the Jedi Enclave Presidency. Now, this is Podcasting Podcast, our weekly little adventure into all the nerdy things happening in assorted fandoms. Star Wars first and then other things after. Mm-hmm. And there's barely any Star Wars stuff this week at all. So, yeah. But there's a lot of other shit going on.
Like this is another part where another part of the general timeline, I guess, where it's hard to be a well-rounded nerd because everything's
happening. Yeah. So like we're going to talk about Agatha All Along today.
We're like, 5-6 episodes into Rings of Power?
Yes.
And shit's getting real there.
Yep. And again, I'll reiterate, I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks about that show. I've been enjoying it. I don't know, maybe my ignorance of the source material is bliss. I noticed that they a character mentions the Silmarils, and I'm like, what the fuck's that? I don't know what that is. That sounds important.
I know just enough about
they're jewels, right?
Yeah,
I know that.
Brief digression.
You got to push your.
Let me just get my glasses up here. The farther back in Tolkien's timeline you go, the weirder and more mystical shit gets.
Yeah.
So the Silmarils, as I understand it, again, I haven't read the Silmarils.
Let us know in the comments.
Yes. Please tell us exactly where I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But the Silmarils were this set of 3 jewels that were incredibly beautiful, and because they were incredibly powerful because they were so beautiful.
Yeah.
And so Morgoth, the biggest bad in Tolkien, even bigger bad than Sauron. He was Sauron's boss.
Yeah, he's an asshole. Yeah.
He stole the Silmarils and used their power, and there was a whole war about it. We actually see a tiny bit of it.
It was like in the first stage, right?
First episode, first season of Rings of Power.
That's how the whole fucking show opens.
Yeah.
They're like previously on the first, like in the first age of everything.
Morgoth was doing some shit, and then the elves kicked his ass.
Yeah. So we're talking about Rings of Power, Agatha All Along, which, okay. and I'll expound more when we get there. I'm the demographic for this show, so I was already excited for it. Mm-hmm. And then I saw it and I was like, this is better than I thought it would be. And it was like, my expectations were really high anyway. So it was like, that's really great. And then you and I just finished watching HBO's The Penguin, which also premiered this week, which is also you're like, damn, for a member of Batman's Rogues Gallery that hasn't
gotten much attention since like the Michael Keaton
Danny
films.
DeVito, right? Yeah. And it's like shit. Like they turned a Batman villain into kind of Tony Soprano a little bit.
Basically, it's the same actor, right?
No. That James Gandolfini is dead. He died a few years ago.
My mistake then. But
rest in peace.
He looks a lot like him.
Yeah. Yes. And it's Colin Firth, who is unrecognizable in the Penguin. Which funny. He was talking about this show to someone and was like, I never want to put that fucking suit on again. Because he's covered with like prosthetics and a fat suit and stuff. But it is so high quality that it looks legit, and you just can't, like, he just disappears into it, and he's really great. Like, they made a Batman villain kind of sympathetic, and they don't always quite do that. And it was like, all right, I kind of dig this.
Yeah.
Also kind of a signal maybe from the WB folks.
It would be Warner Brothers, yeah.
That maybe I haven't been following the James Gunn DC Universe reboot thing too much, other than I know he just kind of wiped everything clean, except for maybe Matt Reeves' Batman.
That was kind of the point of the Flash movie that was terrible,
right?
And the reason they didn't cancel, like, there were so many reasons they should have just canned that movie and never released it, but they couldn't because it was the canon event that reset the canon so they could do this new DC universe, which they have done absolutely nothing with.
Yeah. So, my God.
It's just banana peel after banana peel with these people.
I think they expected to have the narrative be the reason that it was destroyed. And it turns out it was the narrative, but also the quality of the film destroyed.
Quality of the film.
Everything.
The misbehavior of the star.
Yeah. Fucking Ezra. Fucking what's his name?
Piece of shit.
Yeah. But Michael Keaton's in it, and you know what, Chris?
He's the best part of the movie.
I might just drop that movie into Premiere Pro and just cut out the Batman parts and just watch that like that much.
That and the fucking George Clooney scene at the end.
I don't know why I'm getting onto this right now, but the first thing that pops out of my, because you and I saw that movie together.
Yep.
The thing that pops out of my mind as the first thing I remember about that movie is seeing Michael Keaton crawl out of a closet with no shoes on and just like start beating everyone up. Yeah. It's just the most Michael Keaton thing to do in the world. It's just,
you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Let's fucking get nuts.
Anyway.
And Agatha, Penguin. Yeah, those are the things we're going to talk about. There are a couple of...
we took a big left turn in that intro.
Yeah, that's okay. Oh, by the way, while you're here, go give us a like on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Join us on Discord. We do this every week, Saturdays, usually at around 6 o'clock.
Approximately this
unless shit happens and we got to do it later. But
that reminds me. Happy 21st night of September. All the Earth, Wind, and Fire fans out there. Yep.
I've played the horn parts on that before on tenor sax because we did it for a Phi Mu Alpha April Fool's recital.
Okay. Sounds like something you would do.
Which I think the one at the year before that we did the theme from DuckTales.
Okay. Yeah.
And then Captain Planet, which I thought was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, good song. Earth, Wind, and Fire, fucking great. There are a couple of Star Wars news things we got to talk about. The first, did you see the Skeleton Crew picture?
Yes.
Okay.
So
not a big deal. But.
Yeah, but there's a picture of these space pirates. It's a couple characters that we know from Mando or other things.
Well, the one guy, Vane, what's his name? Fucking the horny face guy.
Yeah. The space pirate who Mando fought in season 3.
I thought he died.
I guess this is taking place before that?
No, it's after. It's definitely after. Yeah.
Well, I guess he didn't die.
Because, okay, I'm going to be real honest. Okay. Season 3 of The Mandalorian was not my favorite season.
Yeah.
Despite a couple of moments where I was like, that's actually really great. Christopher Lloyd, Jack Black, Lizzo. Fuck you. I don't care. I loved it. I thought it was the greatest thing in the world.
Phenomenal.
I didn't like that episode. I thought the story of that episode was kind of like, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
But Jack Black, Lizzo, and Christopher Lloyd in the same fucking... I was
fantastic.
Like, yeah, I thought that was great. But like the rest of it, I was just like, oh God. But I think that the pirate that looked like Oscar the Grouch showed up in his trash can. And then with his like pirate ship, and then the pirate ship crashed
or something.
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
If Mandalorian season 3 is your favorite thing in the world, you should probably know. The thing that I'm really kind of giggling about with this picture is that Jaleel White, the actor that played Urkel in Family Matters, is one of the characters.
Good for him.
And if they don't do a did I do that joke at some point in the show,
I hope they don't.
Yeah. A lot of people were asking, I reposted the picture on our Facebook earlier this week. A lot of people are asking if the guy in the front was a Bothan, which he is not. He is he's the werewolf people.
Okay.
So and if you go and watch the original 77 film, in the cantina scene, there's just a random werewolf just hanging out in the back corner, like getting a blowjob or something.
Because it was the first movie and they like needed a bunch of props to just pull off the shelf and to make this cantina into the scum of
Well, the legend. Okay, so actually the legend is that they hired this guy to do all of the creatures and he just didn't show up to work when they
so they're like, well, shit.
Yeah, so they just grabbed some other rando guy that made masks and he like grabbed
you make monster costumes, right? Come here.
Yeah,
job for
and he like went back to his shop. He's like, grab everything, and like grabs everything off the shelf. And so like that's why there's like if you watch the theatrical cut, the actual diversity of the aliens in that scene is very poor, and it looks janky as fuck. And it's one of the reasons why George Lucas could not stop himself from going back and fixing things in that movie, because he was so embarrassed by that one scene that he just had to fix it. Funny little thing there. But the Jaleel White plays Gunter, I guess. And then Vane is the guy we were talking about, but also a couple of other guys, and including Dale Souls, who is in Orange is the New Black, I think. And she's a pretty neat character, and I think I've seen like 3 seasons in that show. basically the moral of the story is that show's coming up, so they're starting to kind of they're starting to wind it up and so you want some really the Bad Batch ended like a few months ago, right?
Yeah.
And I liked that show.
Yeah, it was all right.
I thought it had a really good ending too.
Yeah, that is true. Like they stuck the fucking landing there. It was an excellent wrap up to that whole era of animated Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, good news. It's back.
Okay.
But
in comic
form, yeah. So
which is fine. I'm sure if the story is good, you're gonna take me through it on a Star Wars story time at some point.
This is going to be a part of the Hyperspace Stories
from Dark Horse.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, speaking of which, this is tangentially related, but the Marvel Star Wars run is over.
Really?
It released its last issue like last week.
Wow.
And it ends with a conversation between like post Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker and Ben.
Oh.
And I saw a couple of the panels. I've not read it. I have not read several of the latest issues, and I plan to. But it seems like it was a really good send off for like 50 issues or something in this series.
So is that like all of the Star Wars comics, or just like the
just Marvel that one run, that Marvel Star Wars run? So that was I saw like the last couple pages and I was like, damn. That's pretty cool.
That's nice.
So
it's always good when writers get a chance to wrap up things the way they want to, which doesn't always happen in comics because like comic books will get approved and then canceled very abruptly.
Or weird shit happens. Like they'll float something that, and this used to happen, I feel like, when comic books were a bigger thing, when lots of people were into them. They would throw something out and then people wouldn't like it, and they'd be like, "Oh shit, what do we do?"
Poochie went back to his new planet. Here's the new hotness.
Yeah, it's right. Or they nuke the whole continuity, and they start all over again. Right,
that happens.
I don't think they can do that in Star Wars comics, but but it's cool. Like I think this is the perfect format for characters like this now to do like a comic run, maybe a novel or something. And I expect that we'll probably see some similar stuff for like the Acolyte characters.
That like either that or a novel is what I would expect, because like they clearly had story ideas for where they wanted to go with that show.
Right. So
it's just unfortunate they're not going to get another season. Thanks for ruining it, dickheads
assholes
on the internet.
Yeah, I think that we'll probably see some of those characters again somewhere, maybe even in live action. Yeah. So the Jedi Survivor Series is the third. Well, first of all, the second game just came to Xbox One and PlayStation 4.
Okay.
So, because it was like too big or whatever for the like last gen consoles. And so like a bunch of people are checking it out, and it turns out that the third game is currently in development and will be the series' last game, which feels rounded out and about right.
Trilogies are nice.
Yeah.
They give you a very defined arc, and you can sort of work within that.
Yeah. The fate of Cal Kestis is kind of an interesting topic to me, because he is just old enough where he should have been around somewhere where Luke was concerned, like after Return of the Jedi.
Assuming he survives that long.
That's the thing, is it like either that or he dies. I
could very much see them giving a sort of Legends Chewbacca end to him, where he dies doing something incredibly awesome and heroic.
A moon just falls on him.
Like, because
Chewie was saving one of the kids. Yeah.
Chewbacca's death, it was part of a big emergency evacuation. He was saving countless lives, and a moon fell on him.
And Han's kid.
Yes.
Like literally rescued Han's kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I could very much see them giving that sort of send off to Cal Kestis, because like it explains why he isn't around.
Yeah.
And it gives him a send off that feels fitting for the character.
You think he'll run into Grogu at some point?
Maybe.
I would like to see all of these people in one place at one time. At least once. Luke, Grogu, Ahsoka, Cal Kestis.
Just a little mini Jedi council.
Yeah, like a little, and all of them are so like Luke really wants to put everything back together, but everyone else, they're all so fucked up from their PTSD that they just can't do it.
They're all just so wrapped up in their own shit that they just don't have very much.
But they were like, you weren't here. You weren't here when all this fell apart, and I can't sleep at night. Still,
like
decades
it's
later.
Not your fault because you hadn't even been
but
born
it was
yet.
your father's fault.
But you don't know.
Yeah. I would like to see it at least once. I kind of figured that maybe, depending on what they did with this this film that they're doing with, it's like Filoni, right?
I think so.
It's the thing that's supposed to wrap up all the storylines with like Mandalorian and Skeleton Crew and all that other shit. Mm-hmm. It'd be kind of nice to see a
Cameron Monaghan cameo.
Yeah, and Luke and those guys come together, and I mean, Thrawn's in the Skywalker galaxy now, so like they better pull out the big guns, because if they just have him like fizzle out, I'm going to be pretty upset.
Anyway, modern AAA game development being what it is, we're not going to see this game for 3 or 4 years.
Yes.
So,
however, I will say that, and I know that there was a little bit of controversy. That better not be a fucking mosquito. With the PC release of the second game. Mm-hmm. I didn't have any trouble with it.
Because you didn't play on PC.
Right. But I've heard of other console issues as well. My absence of problems with the game didn't mean that other people didn't have like problems with it. Mm-hmm. That being said, the Jedi Survivor games are kind of like, in an age of live service multiplayer, let's bleed you of every fucking cent we can, and keep you playing this game for as long as possible. Having a single player narrative driven game with no microtransactions was kind of a breath of fresh air. Yeah. And I expect that they'll do that for the third game as well, which good on them.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah, that's kind of nice. Definitely like in a step in the right direction, All right, let's talk about the other shit that's been happening this week.
So what are we doing first?
Let's do Agatha All Along first. And I'm going to have to find my...
So as always, spoiler-free thoughts to start.
Yeah, let's do that.
This show gets a little bit extra in a lot of very fun ways.
I know.
Like, sometimes it's visual effects, or it's music, or it's like the entire fake out first episode. Where they're an entirely different genre entirely.
Yeah, they pull a WandaVision at the beginning, which I thought it was really great. The cast of this show is so insanely good.
I did not even realize that Kitty from that 70s show is in this show until I watched the second episode.
I think... Well, she doesn't show up until the second episode.
Yeah, I'm saying I didn't see her in any of the trailers. I don't know if she was in any of them.
I think she was. I think she was a part of the promotional material. I think that they cause she was in a lot of WandaVision, and she's obviously incredible.
Yeah,
and I like her as the audience stand-in, what the fuck is happening right now character, because she does it really well, because she's so eager to just be invited to something.
She loves being included.
Well, we find like this isn't too much of a spoiler, but like her husband canonically dies between like WandaVision and this show, so she's like happy to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And in fact, there's a scene I'm pretty sure was a 70s show gag where they're trying to do something, and right before they succeed, they do the close up of a character, and then they turn to another close up of the character, and they do the in a circle kind of a thing, which was kind of a that 70s show thing. Patti LuPone, who is this legendary actor, and I've mentioned this during a couple of our live streams this last week, because I've just been obsessed with this show. Patti LuPone is this legendary Broadway actor and singer, just out of this world, a gay icon, and perhaps one of my favorite quotes from her was when asked if Donald Trump would show up to a performance of hers, if she would perform for him, and she said no. And then when asked why, said, because I hate the motherfucker, and then just walked off. She said this on camera.
Good for her.
Patti LuPone. You don't fuck with Patti LuPone. She's crazy.
Absolutely not.
There obviously Katie Hahn from WandaVision is in it. Joe Locke, which we were talking a little bit during the pre-show. The pre-show.
He's so good in this.
You know what's really crazy is, I don't know what it is with English boys or English actors, like Tom Holland. they all do American accents better than we do, and it weirds me out.
Yeah.
Because we can't do English accents at all.
Yeah.
Like Kevin Costner in fucking Robin Hood trying to do an English accent.
Anytime an American actor tries to do an English accent, it comes off as incredibly overdone and like a stereotype.
Yeah, like, right. It's like a Cockney, like crazy kind of a thing. Yeah. Aubrey Plaza from fucking Parks and Rec and the second season of White Lotus, which you might not know about, but is this like really brilliant show, is one of my favorite comedy actors of all time. And she like she plays a character in Parks and Rec called April, and because
just incredibly dry,
deadpan,
sarcastic all the time.
The thing is, I'm pretty sure that April, the character, was just Aubrey Plaza. Like she was just being her, like kind of herself.
The story I heard is that like one of the producers of Parks and Rec like met her and then texted another producer saying like, we have to put this actress in the show. I'm creating a character.
Yeah, we have to figure it out. Yeah. So the lead up to this show, someone made a comment about how Agatha All Along was going to be the gayest show in all the MCU. And so someone asked her during an interview, they were like, "So is this the gayest show?" And she's like, "God, I hope so. That's what I signed up for." And then said the whole thing's gonna end in a giant gay explosion. And it is such an Aubrey Plaza thing to just deadpan in an interview. It just she's great. I mentioned Patti LuPone and Deborah Jo Rupp, who's that 70s show lady. Ali Ahn, who plays another one of the witches, the grungy rock star witch, or I guess daughter of a rock star. Yeah. And then Sashir Zamata from SNL, who has several memorable moments from the show and did Rihanna, I think, and like she's hilarious. Yeah. Also in this show, really funny. And then we get a little bit of Emma Caulfield, who is the waspy, bitchy woman in WandaVision. She's like the mean girl of the group and everything. Yeah. So she's in it for a few minutes. So overall, and the music is amazing. And there's a song in the second episode, at the end of the second episode, that put chills down my spine. It was so fucking good. So I think so far I really don't have any notes. I've enjoyed every part of it along the way.
I'm invested. I did not expect to like it quite this much.
Yeah, because you were slow to get on the WandaVision train because you were kind of turned off by the 1950s TV thing.
Yeah, the first two episodes of WandaVision I absolutely hated, and it wasn't until the third one where we started seeing the actual real world stuff that I was like, okay, they're cooking something here.
So we're going to get into some spoilers and we're going to talk about the plot and everything. So if you've not seen this and you would like to go see it,
please go see it. It's really good.
Yeah. Come back after you're done and everything. And let us know what you thought in the comments as well. But so
we open with Agnes, played by Catherine Hahn.
Driving down the road.
She is a detective. She's a loose cannon.
Yes. So they start off with another WandaVision thing, which is we're going to present her part of the story through the lens of a popular show, right? So like in WandaVision, they did like I Love Lucy and
Malcolm in the Middle,
Growing Pains, or maybe one of the other things. Yeah, right. This one is like True Detective / the Mayor of Westtown, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah. That like
detective procedural
mysterious
thing.
Kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, I guess True Crime wasn't, or not True Crime. True Detective wasn't exactly a procedural, but yeah. There's a dead body.
Yeah, Agnes drives out to a crime scene. Her fellow detective meets her, and he's like,
her next door neighbor.
Yeah.
I can't remember what his fucking name is.
He's like, yeah, I didn't expect to see you after, you punched a suspect.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, he turned out to be a convicted felon. So, who's really in the wrong here?
Yeah. So this picks up pretty directly story-wise from Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which is weird because that film was a mess. all over a mess with great moments in it.
Had terrific potential, had some very cool parts, was not super coherent.
The narrative was like all over the place. And I said even at the time that one of the biggest mistakes that they did was go through Wanda's story in WandaVision and then at the end give her this like kind of redemption. Mm-hmm. And then she turns into a super like horror villain. Yeah. And she did it well, and it was fun to watch. Like, but at the end of that film, they apparently kill Wanda after she fucking snaps Patrick Stewart's fucking neck.
Like she kills all those motherfuckers.
Yes, it's painful to watch.
Horrifying.
Yeah, it's horrifying, and I liked it when I was watching it. But like after you're like, wait a second, this does not make sense with the character that they kind of established in WandaVision. Yeah. So it's Wanda's dead body from that film that they find out in the middle of the woods, and they even make a comment about how like she was crushed by something big and heavy.
Blunt force trauma. There's nothing around, so no one could have dragged her there.
It's like she just magically appeared.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a really neat detail also that when she's in her, you know how like because he drive like an hour to get here every week. There's when you drive longer than like 15 minutes, there's a trance you kind of go into where you're not focusing on every single thing that you're doing, right?
Yeah.
And she kind of slips into that on the way to the crime scene and starts whistling a tune that we know later will be the Ballad of the Witch's Road. Mm-hmm. And it's just kind of there in her mind, right? And so it's Wanda. She doesn't know it's Wanda, but she's got the weird fucking fingers and she's not wearing shoes because why the fuck not? And they introduce this other common trope in shows like this where you're going to make a federal case out of it, and then the FBI agent shows up, and they're always an antagonist in some way
because they're intruding on your domain, and it's a territorial pissing match,
right?
And blah blah blah.
So the FBI agent is played by Aubrey Plaza, who is very antagonistic and clearly knows Katie Hahn's character. And I got the impression in her first scene that she knew what was going on. Yeah, that everything was like weird, and she was a part of something weird.
Well, I was still at this point pointing every time Aubrey Plaza was on the screen. I was pointing at screen, Mephisto.
Yeah, right. So she finds different ways to try to trip Agatha up a little bit. And like she's
like they're talking about something, and then she'll be like, "But do you remember that?"
Right? Or she's like, "Oh, I'm well traveled." She's like, "Oh, really? Where have you traveled?" Yeah. And then it kind of breaks Agnes out of her dissonance for a second.
For just a second, and then Aubrey Plaza is like, "But anyway, let's get back to the
right." But that's the thing; she doesn't give her enough room to figure it out. It's like she's stringing her along, right? And I like how she's working this case now because she was on suspension, I guess.
Yeah, for punching the suspect.
But she's the only one that can solve it, because it's that trope from this kind of show. And
like one of the clues she finds at the scene is this library card for this book. So she goes on down to the library and she looks at the shelf, and it's like that entire part of the shelf is burned.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Okay, so on the library card is the title of a book that's like something to do with debate. Something.
Yeah, and if you take the first initial of every word, it's Darkhold.
Right. And it turns out that every copy of this book has been destroyed. None of it exists anymore. And we don't know what it means. Like she doesn't know what it means, but we know what it means.
Well, it's another of those things that almost breaks through because like she writes out all the initials and like she gets most of it to the word, and then she's like, "What the?"
Yeah, that's a weird word.
Yeah.
And is it Aubrey Plaza that interrupts her?
No, it's the police chief.
Oh, okay.
So she goes home. Aubrey Plaza shows up with a pizza saying, "Hey, let's fucking party."
Pizza and beer, yeah. So
they party, and then Agnes is interrupted by some sound upstairs. So she goes up there, and she's fucking
Joe Lock with a ninja thing, and
she's like, "Hey, what are you breaking into my house for, you piece of shit?"
Yeah, and he fucks right off.
He books it.
Oh, it's worth mentioning that at the crime scene, she finds her old brooch that she wears in WandaVision, and puts it in her pocket, pretends not to, there wasn't evidence.
Yeah.
Aubrey Plaza calls her on it about hiding evidence. And she's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And that seems to be what Joe Locke is looking at when she kind of comes in on him. So there's a good old cop foot chase, and he gets hit by what's her name from that 70s show. Yeah. And so she arrests him and takes him down to the
interrogation room at the police station. She's like, so
she fully kicks him, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, and he's got some good burns on her.
Yeah.
And because he says something about like, she's like, what were you looking for? And he's like, well, all this shit that you can't find.
A fulfilling home life and the respect of your peers.
Right.
She fucking kicks his chair. She's like, motherfucker.
Yeah, he is.
I'm a loose cannon. I'm unhinged. Do you really want to provoke me anymore?
Yeah.
He's like, no, man.
He's pretty catty.
Yeah.
And this whole thing ends with him he just starts chanting in Latin, right?
Well, the real head trip part of this is that, like, after they go back and forth about him breaking into her house, she's like, all right, motherfucker, look in this folder. There's a bunch of pictures of this dead woman. Like, where were you last night when this happened? He's like, I don't fucking know. It's just pictures of flowers.
These are just flowers, dude.
And she's like, wait a minute, those are flowers. What the fuck is that? And then he starts chanting at her in Latin. She's like, what are you doing?
What is
Stop
happening?
it.
Why is everyone chanting in Latin? I don't understand this. And it breaks her out of her fucking thing. And she wakes up.
She fucking
totally buck ass naked.
Not yet. So she goes down to the morgue.
Oh, right. Oh, this
corpse.
is so. How could I forget this?
Yeah.
This was such a great part of the episode.
And the tag on the corpse's foot, like Aubrey Plaza's there. She says, "Well, there are 2 Jane Does in this story. Can you tell me what their names are?" And she looks at the card, and Wanda Maximoff shows up there. And then she looks back at it. And it's fucking Agatha Harkness.
Yeah.
And then Agnes is like, "It's really hot. Is it hot in here?" Like,
just start stripping her clothes off.
Stripping her clothes off.
Going through all of the different characters from WandaVision. So like that, what was that show that show was based on? It wasn't Family Matters. It was the other one with Bob Saget. That one.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And actually, Elizabeth Olsen's younger sisters that played the twins,
Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. Yeah.
Anyway, like it was her.
She
like
goes through all those. She fucking strips
the
out
jazzercise thing.
Yep. And then she wakes up in the fucking living room of her house, completely naked. She's like, "Motherfucker!
Yeah.
What?" Just storms out of her house, still buck ass naked. Talks to her neighbor like, "How long have I been here?"
Yeah, I love the effect, by the way. Before she breaks free, she's in her black and white I Love Lucy get up, but the rest of the scene is properly colored. And that's one of those things where you're like, oh, I bet the visual effects artists like that. Like, I bet this was a bitch.
They worked hard on that.
Yeah. I appreciate. So first of all, we see an ass in an MCU show, which is Katie Hahn's ass. Yeah. Not a bad ass. An ass not from the male gaze either, which I appreciated. Yeah. It wasn't gratuitous or anything. She
was just walking around.
But she walks straight up to her neighbor, her partner from the beginning of the show.
She's like, "What the fuck?"
And he is just like, dude,
can you please put some pants on?
Everything you've been doing lately has been so fucking weird, but this is too much. Yeah. Because it turns out that she has just been going about her True Detective thing, and everyone around her has just been humoring her, right? And so now she's out of it, and she's just trying to figure out where the fuck.
What is all this?
And that's when. So Joe locks in a closet because he's under arrest or whatever, right? But
so finally she finds out, motherfucker, I've been here 3 fucking years. Wanda, you bitch. Yeah. She goes back to her house, like goes down in the basement, finds her rabbit. She's like,
oh yeah, there's a poignant shot. Maybe I think this was when she was still in True Detective Land, where she looks in on clearly a kid's room, and one of the trophies says Nicholas scratch on it, I think, and she closes the door because I'm pretty sure that Joe Locke's character is her son.
Okay.
Because I've got some theories about that.
Okay.
But he's also very clearly Billy Kaplan.
Yeah.
So like I'm not sure. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah.
So she finds out that Joe Locke is in her closet, and she's like, "Wait, if you're real, then..." And then Aubrey Plaza blasts her door down.
They've got some beef.
Yeah, they do not like each other.
I'm pretty sure that they were together at some point.
Maybe.
I would bet money on it because Aubrey Plaza's got some beef on her that is very spurns
Personal.
lover. Yeah. And
also, Aubrey Plaza is definitely not Mephisto, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah.
Because she would be a fantastic Mephisto.
I think she would too. I think we'll probably end up seeing something from like some kind of Mephisto thing in the show. Eric Voss at New Rockstars will be thrilled. Yeah. But
so they have this little fight, and finally Agatha's like, "Look, I don't have my power right now, and I know this would be really..."
She calls it her purple, which I thought was funny.
Her purple.
Yeah.
Like, I can't give you the fight that you so clearly want right now. So why don't you just give me a little time? Just like, let me go head down the witch's road or whatever. I'll get this figured out, and then you can come kill me. And Aubrey Plaza's like, "You know what? Okay, fine. Like, I'll get out of here. But just so you know, these other witches who hate you, the Salem 7."
Yeah, the descendants of the witches that you killed.
Yeah.
In WandaVision in that flashback.
So they know that you're still alive, and they're going to be here at like sundown.
Yeah.
So
and they're allowed to kill you. I'm not allowed to kill you because they apparently can't hurt each other legally or something. They get taken to court. But like the Salem 7 are...
They don't give a fuck.
Why are they coming at sundown? I don't know. It's witchy shit. It's just witchy shit. But...
so she fucks off, and that's the end of episode 1.
Yeah. And so her plan now is... Okay, I can work through all of this, like step by step, work the problem in front of you.
I really need my power.
Right. And the beginning of episode 2
is like, okay, I just need to go through this one thing at a time. So let's get some clothes on. Let's get my shoes on.
She sits down to drive her fake ass car, which is just a desk with like a wheel on it and everything. And I like how because
she realizes this is not a car.
It's an interesting detail that that she's done this so many times that it's just muscle memory for her. And she sits down and she adjusts herself, and there's like a mirror on a little stick, and she and then she's like, "This isn't a real car. What the fuck am I doing?" While
she's doing all this, like Joe Locke is hopping around trying desperately to get loose. But I was like, "Hey, let me help you."
Yeah.
Like, hi.
Yeah. And his whole deal is,
he knows a lot. Like, he studied a lot of magic, but he doesn't have very much power.
Right. He knows the theory, but it hasn't necessarily been trained in the application.
Yeah.
And I think he probably does have a tremendous amount of power, because he was able, even without the application training, was able to snap her out of a spell that the Scarlet Witch put on her. Mm-hmm. And even she was kind of impressed by that. She's like, "God damn, that's pretty crazy." And so they're like, "Okay, well, is it Joe Locke that convinces her about the Witch's Road?"
So maybe, because like when she asks why he broke into her house in episode 1,
he wants to go on the Witch's Road.
Yeah, he says, "I was looking for the Witch's Road."
Right.
And she's like, "Okay, look, the Witch's Road is some bullshit.
Yeah.
First of all, can you tell me your name?" He's like, "Yeah, it's..."
Yeah.
It's like, come again?
There are two different instances of this, by the way, in the episode. One of them is when he tries to say his name, a weird symbol overwrites
his mouth gets scribbled over,
and she can't understand what he's saying.
And then later, like, he's driving, and she asks, like, "Well, where the fuck do you come from?" Yeah. And then he starts talking, and it gets very muffled.
Yeah.
And like, you can still hear everything else that's happening. Like, she messes with the radio to turn it up a little bit, and you can hear that. It's just when he's talking about himself, she can't hear it, understand it.
Which is an interesting detail, is that the other people who are around when he talks to himself, they can hear him. Mm-hmm. Which means that this whatever spell isn't on him, it's on her. Agatha. Yeah. Which is, there was also another comment about, I think Aubrey Plaza makes a comment about sacrificing another child.
Mm-hmm. It's not her. It's one of the witches.
One of the other ones. Probably, I don't know, Patty LeBun. And
it's the candle lady.
Yes. Yeah. And So I'm pretty sure that he's her son
or something
that she sacrificed.
Maybe.
Which bitch move, by the way. You're not supposed to sacrifice your kids. That's bad. It's bad parenting. But at the same time, so I think in a different language, the subtitles have his name is Billy. So I'm not sure what they're doing. Like maybe his spirit got like messed with when I don't know.
Well, crazy theory I came up with like 5 seconds ago. Maybe it's another Scarlet Witch spell that she put on to just like protect her children from Agatha. So like Agatha can't know anything personally identifying about them.
Yeah, but her kids don't exist in this reality. She just made them up. Like they were just, reconstructions, which is why she wanted to go to a different multiverse and and steal that bitch's kids pretty much.
Counterpoint, it's magic. It doesn't have to make sense.
Right. It's going to be something to do with, because it's not like no one, so like his boyfriend calls.
Yeah.
So like people know him.
Yeah.
Right. Like he exists.
He clearly exists in this world.
So, which by the way, I thought it was funny. His boyfriend's contact information on the phone is his boyf.
Yeah.
It's very like Gen Z.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers.
So Agatha's like, okay, look, to go on the witch's road, I need a coven. And the good thing about covens is wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah.
Like there's always enough witches in a 3-mile radius to form a coven. So let's
turns out there's a shit ton of witches in America. I didn't know that, but apparently they're all over the fucking place.
So they go down to this fucking psychic's place.
Yeah.
Psychic. They walk in and they're like, hey, fucking read my fortune. And this woman sits down with her crystal ball and she's like, yeah, your husband left a bunch of gold in the closet. Now fucking swipe your card.
I love Katie Hahn's that character she puts on. It's really funny because she asks bullshit questions that she knows don't have real answers, and she answers them anyway. Yeah. But it's just like, I'm pretty sure that Patty LuPone's character probably just doesn't, because she knows her when she walks in. She knows who she is. But then she calls her on her bullshit. She's like, I know it's you. Just stop fucking around. And then she gets like, they tell her what they're trying to do, and she's like,
no, fuck off.
Yeah, I'm never joining. I'm way too fucking old for that. And also, I hate you. You're crazy, and you sacrifice kids probably.
And she's like, all right, fine. Just give me a fucking list of names and I'll be out of your hair. So she turns around and fucking some magic shit happens.
Well, I think she gets like possessed or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She writes down the list, hands it back, and Agatha's like, oh, look, you're on this list. She's like, what?
God damn it.
Fuck, I am on this list.
Well, I can't argue with myself, I guess.
So Joe Locke is like, all right, just show up at Agatha's house at sundown. Yeah. We'll see you there.
I love how like Joe Locke's character has immediately taken to his role in this, which is like her assistant,
event planner,
right? Yeah, and
like he's so ready with these invitations.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's this is exactly what he wants to be a part of this world.
Yeah.
And so meeting all these different witches, he's having the time of his life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So they go to like,
okay, what's next on the list?
There's a specific composition of witches they need, right? So they need a fortune teller, and they need like a green witch.
Yep.
They need a potions, a Snape.
Yep.
They need a blood witch, which is the child of another witch. And then what's the other one they needed?
I think it was just those 4 and Agatha.
Yeah.
Like Agatha fulfills one of the requirements, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. So those are the names they're ticking off, right? And so they go. I think they go see the potions.
Leaves the fortune teller's store. Like there's a crow cawing, and Agatha's like, "Wait a minute, I know that fucking bird."
Yeah, they're. So I haven't been following the production news for this show too much leading up to the show because I don't want to have it spoiled. But we know. So they're all those animals. They meet several animals, and they're all different members of the Salem 7.
If you look in the credits of the episode,
they're all named.
They're all listed out, and they all have animals associated with them.
So, and at some point they see a mouse or a rat or something.
See a rat, they
cicada.
see a wolf.
Yeah. That fucking wolf thing was
just
pretty cool.
in the middle of the street.
Yep. I think it's a coyote.
Anyway,
So they go to see the potions lady next,
who is selling candles that
Yes.
you can like fucking lick the wax and
Right.
eat it, and it's probiotic or some shit.
She makes a really funny joke about a jade egg, and before this I was not aware of this was a thing that some women did to work different muscles down there. I'm gay. I'm so sorry. I don't know how the anatomy exactly works.
You think it looks like a sarlacc?
Yeah, and you
with the beak and the tentacles,
and then you stick the jade egg in, and then like hold it in for extended amounts of time. I don't know what health benefit this has, or if this helps with like sex or anything, but like they go there though. But it's like an obscure enough thing where like if you're not paying attention, you don't know what she's joking about.
Yeah.
And she makes a joke as she's walking in, like these two like white fucking valley girls are like trying to like
I'm gonna leave now.
She makes a joke. The reason they leave is because she picks up one of the jade eggs and offers to split one of them with them. And it's when you think about what it's for, you're like, oh god, no, I would have left too. That's fucking weird.
So they talk, and the potions witch is like, oh look, Agatha, and your new who's this kid? You gonna sacrifice him? Agatha's like,
oh yeah, right.
Actually, I'm gonna go on the witch's road. You want to come with me?
She looks pretty taken aback when she says that. By the way, I'm pretty sure that she sacrificed her kid.
Probably.
Which, again,
fucked up.
Damn. Yeah. And she says no because of course she does.
Yeah.
But Joe Locke was like, well, in case you change your mind,
just in case, here's an invitation.
Yeah.
Don't need to RSVP, just show up.
And Katie Hahn's like, we don't fucking need her, whatever. Let's go.
It's fine.
They go and find their
he's like, I need a corn dog. Let's go to the mall.
Yeah. And then they see the rat.
Yep.
But they need their blood witch.
Yep.
So they go find the daughter of this like insanely famous
musician,
Fleetwood Mac type,
yeah,
woman
who is also a witch.
Yeah.
Who got famous making a version of the Witch's Road song
into like popular culture. Yeah. And so
and this witch is working security.
She's a mall cop.
Hot Topic.
Yeah, she's a mall cop at Hot Topic, and she also says no.
Yeah,
and she's like, "Fuck off." And
then the best part is that like Katie Hahn tells Joe Locke just fucking start running, and she's like, "Okay," and then she gets tackled by mall cop.
Oh right. Yeah, because she thought he was stealing.
Yeah, and her boss was like, "What the fuck? I told you not to fucking beat people up."
Yeah, so she gets fired.
Yeah.
I had entirely forgotten about that until you mentioned it. Yeah.
And they're like, hey, you want to come do witchy stuff?
It's like you're out of a job. And she's like,
you have a lot of free time. You want to come on the Witch's Road with us? And she's like, fuck off.
Yeah. No. And is she the one that he forgot to give the invitation to? Yeah. Because he like on their way out, he's like, oh, I forgot to give her a card. And then she's like, fuck it, we don't need her either. Yeah. And he's like, do we need any of these fucking witches?
He's like, well, there was one more name on the list. And I was like, no, don't worry about it.
She fucking swallows the list because she does not want them to see who the Green Witch is on the list, I think.
So back at Agatha's house.
They go back home. Fucking Joe Locke has made...
doing so much work to make this happen.
This poor kid has made a welcome thing because it's his new coven, and he's so optimistic about it and everything.
He's made appetizers out of like stale granola bars.
Right. Some people noted, and I think this is probably reaching a little bit into crazy theories, that when Agatha rips the welcome thing down, the only letter is W, and it's kind of hanging over his head.
I did notice that.
Yeah, which is Billy Kaplan's superhero name was Wiccan. So I don't know. There are people like, oh, he's Wiccan. It's Wiccan.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I would really love.
Yeah,
because it would make sense because Wiccan was like one of the first big visible gay characters in the like the Marvel comics and everything. So
at least one of the more modern ones. They've had gay characters since the 80s, but yeah. Anyway, so the other witches start trickling in.
Who's the first one? Is it the potions lady? Yeah,
potions lady shows up first.
And she's horrified that she got there first. She's like, oh, I'm on time. God damn it.
One. Yeah. Fuck. And then the divination lady, and then mall cop shows up and is like, yeah, I used to be a cop. That's how I knew how to find you.
I'm Paul Blart, mall cop.
They're like, wait a minute, we're still missing a witch. And Agatha's like, no, we don't need her. And they're like, no, we really do need her. Like, what was the last name?
And she's like, hold that thought. You don't need to know what's on the list. I'm going to go get our witch real quick. And
so she goes across the street, sees fucking Kitty from that 70s show. Is like, hey, how you doing? I'm having a party.
I'm throwing a party. Would you like to come?
I love parties. Yes. Let me just go grab my purse and I'll be right over.
Yeah.
And it turns out that this woman is actually a witch and didn't know it. And that's why her flowers are so pretty.
I don't think she is at all. I don't think she's a witch. I think she's just a fucking rando.
Okay. Maybe.
I'll look into it. I didn't get the impression that she was magical at all. I thought she was just she's a stand-in for us, just a normal person to be like, what the fuck is all this?
So they get down in the basement and Agatha's like, okay, all we gotta do is sing the fucking song and the door will appear. So let's fucking go. And like they start singing and that 70s show is like, am I supposed to know this?
Right.
Like,
okay, so they premiered this song like a month ago at like an event, and they like sang it live. Because all of these people are like good singers, right? And when you watch them premiere it, Kitty's actor doesn't sing most of it because in the show she doesn't know the words. She doesn't know the words, so she just watches everyone else gleefully.
Yeah, she's loving this,
and what's hilarious is that it is so obviously a like witchcraft demonic kind of thing they're doing, and she just doesn't get it, and she's like, oh, this is so fun.
She's just happy to be included.
This song fucking slaps, and part of the reason is because they all sang it, and you can hear like when Patti LuPone comes in, it's like, because it's a well-known quality of her voice that it can barely be contained by a building, right? So when you hear Patti LuPone start to sing, you're like, holy shit, that's so good. And let's get into the musical weeds just for a second.
Okay.
I was so confused by this song because I was certain that the first boo-doo-doo-doo-doo was in Lydian. Because it's a musical mode. It sounded like kind of bright.
Okay, yeah.
It's not. It's just a major scale. The composer borrows and mixes the major and the natural minor scale.
Okay.
And the only scale degrees that he takes from the major scale are the third and the sixth. So... boo doo da 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 boo doo 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 doo, and it goes here, and that's the only other note from the major scale he uses, and it creates this like crazy ethereal magical sounding thing, which most composers use the Lydian mode to like John Williams and Harry Potter. And I had to like go and look it up and like try to and listen to it and like try to figure it out. And it's a really neat song. Yeah. And the words are neat. Yep. And when it ends, and they act the shit out of it. Yeah. Because they're all in the basement and they're all fucking, and as they're getting on, and I guess it like this depends on how well they sing it.
Or something.
Whether or not it'll work. And like they get done, and she hits the bell,
drops it. She's like, okay, where's the fucking door? Last time I did this, the door just fucking popped up. Yeah. So you fucking bitches apparently
they start accusing each other of different like, and what was it? One of them said that made a joke about one of the other ones being flat. Yeah. We just like John and I cackled. It was so fucking hilarious.
While all this is happening, by the way, like the Salem 7 are showing up and John Locke is freaking the fuck out, like trying to.
Do you just call him John Locke?
Joe Locke. Okay. Sorry. Like he's dragging the couch in front of the door that Aubrey Plaza blasted off the hinges. He's freaking like, Agatha, help!
The Salem 7 are like, they move weird and it's grotesque.
They're
and
almost like Nazgul from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. And later on, when one of them goes downstairs, they do the exorcist crawl down the stairs, and you're like, "Oh God, what the fuck?"
So the witches are in the basement, all arguing about this, and finally, Kitty from that same show is like, "Hey, was that always there?" Yeah. And they look down, and there's the fucking door. Yeah. And they're like, "Okay, I guess this is the witches' road. All aboard."
Cue Joe Locke screaming,
"Agatha! Oh wait, there's a door. We should go down there right the fuck now.
I like how everyone just tacitly agrees, oh, this is better than whatever the fuck is happening here. So they just all go, right? And again, I cannot stress that the actor from the 70s show, that 70s show, just rolls with every punch.
Yeah.
Because she's just so happy to be included that she was like, of course I'm going to go down in the fucking door. It's where my new friends are going.
Well, something that happens to a lot of retired people is like they just...
all their friends die.
Yeah, all their friends die. They're disconnected from... They feel...
Their spouse dies.
Yeah, so that's exactly what happened to this character. Yeah. So like she's probably just thrilled to have friends and people talking to her again. So she's like, I don't care what happened. Y'all just sang this really cool song and then a door fucking appeared. I'm going with it.
I like how she finds her legs at the end of the song, and she's like, oh, this is really fun. Like I don't know the words, but I'm singing, and I'm so glad we're doing this. A neat little detail: they all take their shoes off once they get to the witch's road.
They get to the bottom. There's the road with a whole bunch of flowers and shit, and they'll take their shoes.
Practical set, by the way.
Oh,
this is all in camera, like live action. Neat. Like there weren't any effects or anything. It's just like an actual set, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, so
not something the MCU is known for doing very much.
Very true.
During the credits, there, if you pay attention to some of the stuff that's happening under the credits, there are instructions on the Witch's Road and about how you are supposed to take off your shoes and make connection with the earth and everything. And because I've seen the trailer, I know that Aubrey Plaza's character shows up anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that the Salem 7 are probably going to end up getting their way in as well.
Certainly.
Yeah. So like the only direction they have is forward through this thing. And so far it was really a treat to watch.
It's fun.
Yeah. I expected it to be kind of hokey and stupid. But since I liked Katie Hahn so much, it was fine. And I liked all the, but like, it is very good. And the Rotten Tomatoes scores reflect that. It has a very strong critic score and a very strong audience score. So people clearly like it.
Which is remarkable considering there is a openly, visibly gay character on this show.
I think, like I said to you before, I think they're all gay.
They might all be gay.
I think they're all gay.
Yeah.
I think that Agatha and...
Agatha reads to me as like asexual or like power sexual, maybe.
Or maybe she's just like like a pansexual.
Maybe.
The Blood Witch has such a like. I can say this because I'm gay. A Margaret Cho lesbian feel about her.
Okay.
That I'm positive she's a lesbian. They're all different types of lesbians, I'm pretty sure. And I think it's funny that everyone is freaking out about the lesbian witches of the Acolyte when I'm pretty sure that we're getting the lesbian witches of Agatha all along.
Also,
because you know that the mom from that 70s show seems like the kind of person that was probably curious at some point in her life when she was younger, and as this commonly happens, comes into experimentation later in life that happens with people that age.
Sure, yeah.
And so like I'm pretty sure she's a lesbian too. Everyone's gay.
Anyway, another fun connection with the Acolyte is the fucking witches musical number from that show.
This one's better.
Yeah, I think so.
This one's way better. It's like that. I listened to it again. I was like, oh, that's so good. It's so good. Okay, let's move. We're going to spend a few more minutes on our two other things. Rings of Power.
Rings of Power.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll just get straight into spoilers.
Okay.
There isn't a ton of. This is one of those.
So I just want to start with the open of Arondir chasing these orcs through the woods, and then he starts fighting them. I love watching elves fight because they're so fucking extra with everything.
It's got to be. There's got to be a
like
cape
he does a
twirl.
backflip and shoots an arrow and like pulls out his sword like. Kills the one behind him without even looking, and then even when he sheathes his sword, he does this twirl. And
those orcs were deserting, right? I think that was the thing.
Yeah, they were fucking off.
The big linchpin in this episode is Galadriel and Adar, and this idea that Adar has his own plans.
Yes,
and he
has an agenda,
which is to kill Sauron. This is an obvious pairing because Galadriel starts off in the show in season 1 trying to find and kill Sauron.
Mhm.
So it would make sense that they would be bedfellows, right? But because of who Adar is, she doesn't trust him and thinks he's disgusting and everything. And they still talk about an alliance anyway. Mm-hmm. And I like how Adar shows her the fucking crown.
The crown of Morgoth.
He's like, I was standing right there and I turned this motherfucker around and stabbed him with it.
It was really fucking cool.
And she was like, oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Kind of metal.
They make there's a reference to the Cimmerals because I guess the Cimmerals are supposed to be set in that crown.
Yes. After Morgoth stole them and was planning to use their power to take over the world.
Yeah. And pretty much Galadriel says a little too much.
Yeah. She says essentially that Halbrand is Sauron and Sauron is inside.
And that she has a magical ring.
Yes.
That is on its way to her right now.
Mm-hmm. With an army of elves.
And Adar is like, perfect.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got it.
Yeah. And she's like, wait, I thought
we were cool.
Yeah.
Like Sauron doesn't have an army.
Right.
Like he wants you to destroy this city and then he's going to take your army and fuck off. And he's like, nah, it's not going to work that way.
He's like, no, I'm going to tell him to fuck off.
Yeah.
That always works. Because
it's not like Sauron is a master manipulator and many times smarter than everyone else or anything.
I think it's interesting detail that Adar seems aware that Sauron wants to bait him into an attack. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'm going to fucking do it anyway. No one's going to tell me. I like how there's a lot of like, I think I might have said this last week. I've enjoyed the whole Anatar Sauron thing more this season because we knew for sure who he was. And so watching him get his claws into things and stuff, this overarching question throughout the entire second season is this what he wants? Like, is this all part of his grand design anyway? And how do you know, right? Like, how do you figure out which one is and isn't? I think Elrond is probably the only one that's figured it out. Who's like, well, Elrond and the fucking dwarf. Yeah. Who are like, the rings are terrible. That's his plan. We should stay the fuck away from those. And so he gets information out of her, locks her up, and he's
like, we're gonna fucking burn down the city, fire the catapults.
Yeah, and he commences the attack. Yep. So meanwhile,
let's talk about Gandalf.
Yeah, so he's still hanging out with Tom Bombadil.
Yeah, they have gone directly to the part of Empire Strikes Back where Luke is training with Yoda.
Yep,
like almost shot for shot.
It was very similar. Yeah, I noticed.
So Gandalf's like, I need a fucking staff, and Tom Bombadil's like, well, let's go find you a fucking staff.
Let's go find a thicket of staves.
Here's a bunch of trees. Go find your fucking staff. And Gandalf is like, well, actually,
I saw a vision. My friends are in danger. I have to go.
This vision of my friends in danger, and he's like, and fucking Tom Bombadil's like, well, you can go and try to help them, and you might be able to, or you can stay and complete your training and, take down the Dark Wizard and Sauron.
And let my friends die?
But if you ever leave here, you can't come back.
Yeah.
So fucking
I will
make
pretend
your decision carefully.
To literally not have heard of you if you try to come back here.
And Gandalf is just left fucking staring out at all those trees and has to make his decision, which we don't actually get to see just yet.
He's going to go after the Harfoots.
Yeah, he has to.
And I think that's the test.
Maybe.
I think that the test is, will you give up the idea of having magic to help someone? And then that being, that was the right call. So here's the fucking staff.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. So the Harfoots and the Stewards are waiting for the masked guys to show up, right? Mm-hmm. And there is this fucking hilarious scene. The porcupine guy, I don't remember his name. Nobody, yeah. With his big fucking hair.
And Poppy are sitting there.
They're all sweet on each other. They're making little poison darts.
Yeah.
And Poppy has this fucking rattlesnake the entire time they're talking.
Just holding it.
And they're just making poison darts and shit. And the snake's like, the second you let go of me, I'm going to fucking bite you. And she does not care. Yeah. And neither does he.
And then they kiss and it's really cute.
And she doesn't put it down. She's holding this rattlesnake while they're kissing. And it's just like, oh my God.
And she's like, by the way, did you have a lizard for dinner? He's like, well, yeah, actually that's
what we eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna eat that snake probably later.
Yeah.
So they're preparing for their showdown and everything. I think Gandalf will end up showing up like right at the last minute, like he does.
Yeah. The dwarves.
Yeah, Durin and Disa and his father.
So his father's like, all right, we gotta keep digging deeper.
Well,
and faster.
he is accumulating his fucking gold hoard.
Yes.
So is this what ends up bringing Smaug into all this?
Could very well be.
I can't remember because I've seen the Hobbit trilogy once. I hated all of it. I thought all of it was quite poor, except for the one wizard who had the rabbits and the ski, and he was covered in bird shit for some reason. I was like, I don't understand him, but I like him.
Okay, yeah, fair
But
enough.
the rest of it, I was like, oh my God, will this ever end?
So he's accumulating all his gold. Anatar comes down.
Out of his fucking mind, by the way.
Yes.
Just out of his mind.
Yes. So Anatar comes down and is like, hey, we're trying to make some more rings. Can we have some more mithril? And King is like, no, fuck off.
No.
Anatar is like, okay, have a nice day.
Yeah. I respect your decision.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, you don't.
And the prince is like, wait a minute, this doesn't sound quite right. And the king is like, actually, I told him no because we're going to keep all the mithril for ourselves because there's a giant fucking war brewing up there and whoever has mithril weapons and armor is going to have a huge advantage. So fucking dig deeper and let's get this shit out. And the prince is like, okay, but can you take off that ring, please? And the king is like, no, fuck you. And the prince is like, no, you're going to take that ring off and tries to pull it off. And the king just fucking backhands him across the fucking room.
Yeah.
And Prince Durin's like, holy fucking shit.
Gonna go tell my wife on you.
Yeah.
So they have a talk, and pretty much what they agree on is
we
gotta stop him.
We gotta stop this.
Yeah. And so the
dwarves are gonna go dig, and Dees is there, and she's like, "You're not gonna go here." And
I like her little dramatic. She's standing with her back to them first, and then turns around and like flicks her like robe and shit, and then she sings him to death.
Yeah. So she sings these.
Some
like
notes.
2 notes.
Yeah.
And they're like, is that supposed to intimidate us? She's like, no, it's supposed to call down the fucking bats on you.
Yeah.
They're like, what? Oh, God.
Music bats.
Bats. And then they run away. Durin comes out. Like, he's looking at her like, I have never been this hard before.
We are fucking right now.
Yes.
I don't care if the bats watch. I don't care if my father watches.
Yeah.
We're procreating. So yeah, there's that whole thing.
And then the elves. So this is Eregion. So in Eregion, things are not going great. They've run out of their mithril. That's why Anatar goes to talk to the dwarves again. So like Celebrimbor is at the point where he's so fucking obsessed with these things, and probably Sauron has wormed his way into his mind a little bit. Like he can't even remember his assistant's name.
Yeah.
And just when things are about to boil, Anatar walks in and is like, you know what? Let's just take 5.
Yeah.
You know, let's figure this out.
All of this fucking tension is Sauron's like the fruits of his labor.
Absolutely.
Right?
Like he is doing his best to get these rings
destabilize everything and
just get the rings created, get as much of his influence as possible into them so that he has these incredibly powerful tools that he can then spread to create chaos.
Whilst weakening Celebrimbor's authority and weakening the elves and like he's playing a game on a few different levels and they just don't get it, right? Because they think he's a fucking elf god or whatever. That's why you need atheists in the world. Because you know that in this situation, you and I'd be like, where did you come from?
The problem is you can't be an atheist elf in this world because they have seen the gods. They know the gods exist.
Okay.
Like there are elves alive who have talked to the literal gods.
Okay, and that's fine. That means that gods are natural beings in a natural world. To which I would say when he shows up, you need to tell me more about what you're doing. Like there is no, I'm just doing this because you said so.
Okay.
Maybe not so much an atheist, more of a skeptic.
Okay.
Like super skeptic.
So the orcs attack.
Yeah.
And
I like the little the trick he plays on Celebrimbor.
Yes. Let me get to that.
Yeah.
So the orcs are attacking and everyone's freaking the fuck out. Anatar's like, just fucking close the gates. We'll deal with this. It's fine. Celebrimbor hears the attack.
war horns.
Yeah, he hears the war horns. He's like, what the fuck is going on?
Those sound like war horns.
Anatar's like, no, don't worry about it. Just stay in here. You just gotta work on your fucking rings. It's gonna be fine.
It's a brass band, dude. It's fine.
Celebrimbor's like, no, fuck you. This is my city. I'm gonna go see what's going on. So he runs down the stairs, and Anatar just like takes a deep breath. And when Celebrimbor steps out, it's a beautiful fucking sunny day.
Well, he cuts his hand too.
Yeah.
Right? He like pulls out this cool fucking dagger.
Doing some magic shit.
Yeah.
So Celebrimbor walks out. It's a sunny day. Everything is idyllic. There's children playing in the streets.
People are frolicking, getting their pictures painted.
Yeah, elves are painting and frolicking. And Celebrimbor was like, huh, that's weird. So Anatar comes down and is like, look.
There's a little brass band, and he's like, "That's what you heard."
Yeah,
those are the war horns.
Like,
that fucking trombone right there.
It's just like I told you. Everything is fine for right now, but we really need you to finish up those rings.
Finish the fucking rings.
Like I've got this reserve of mithrils right from the dwarves. Like it's plenty to.
He had it all along, right?
Maybe.
Which I think means that his appearance to Jaren was just a mind fuck in some way.
It's either that
or he just took it while he was there.
Yeah, he made a pit stop while he was there. So
he's like, I'll take that.
It's enough mithril for 9 rings. Just will you please go back to work now? Celebrimbor's like, yes, actually, I will go back to work.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was so fucking sunny and nice out here. Yeah. I like how when he breaks the illusion, people are just running and screaming.
Yes. So Celebrimbor goes inside. The camera slowly turns around Anatar, and we see things get darker, and elves are running, screaming through the street.
And he looks like he's like, oh yeah, this is nice.
Yes.
This is my sunny day.
This is everything I want.
Right.
And that's pretty much everything.
Well, there's some political unrest in Numenor.
Oh yeah. I forgot about Numenor.
So
Elendil is about to be put to death. Well, okay. So first he's put on trial. And Pharazôn is like, all right, fucking suck my dick and say I'm the king and you can go free.
And he's like, what's it taste like? And he's like, it tastes bad. And he's like, no, I don't think it will.
He's like, I will not acknowledge you as the king because the true ruler is fucking Queen what's her name.
Yeah.
And so he gets thrown in
this
prison.
Woman I very, very much would like to bone,
yes.
By the way.
So his daughter visits him in prison and she's like, look, can you just fucking suck Pharazôn's dick and say he's king?
He's like, no, he said it tasted bad.
You dumb fucker. Okay, fine. Look, well, she's going to tell you to fucking suck his dick and call him king. And the queen walks in and says, just suck his dick and say
he's like, he said it tastes bad. You fucking suck it. Literally any one of you could suck his dick.
Look, it is critically important for the future of Numenor that you be alive to save us all.
Yeah.
So fucking just suck his dick. Let's go. He's like, no, I'm not going to do it.
You know what I'd rather do? I'd rather get eaten by a sea monster.
Yeah. Well, good news, because that's going to be your fucking fate. Yeah. There's a shot of Pharazôn using the fucking Palantir.
Yeah.
The Seeing Stone.
That was a neat effect,
yeah.
By the way. When he put his hand on it and like the reality kind of started to fracture and like what he was seeing kind of took over and everything. Yep. That was cool.
I believe he sees a shot of Anatar, who we know is Sauron.
Yep.
So Sauron has... The implication is that Sauron knows what's going on in Numenor, and possibly that Pharazôn is working with Sauron.
This is the ball that's in Lord of the Rings, right?
Yes, it's Saruman's thing.
Yeah, and then one of the hobbits like licks it, and then gets really like crazy, and then Gandalf hits him with a stick, right?
I think so.
And calls him an asshole.
I think so
because like Sauron can like see through it or whatever. Yes. That's why they keep the towel over it.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen Return of the King. That is my favorite Lord of the Rings movie, I will say.
It's very good.
That is generally how it goes down.
The hobbits lick something and Gandalf smacks him with his stick and tells him what dumb assholes they are.
Someone did point out that going real quick back to the Bombadil thing, that Gandalf says something about his friends dying or something, and Bombadil says, there are people that die that should have lived, and there are people who live that should have died.
Yep.
And
that's a direct quote from Gandalf later in the timeline.
In the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in probably Return of the King, maybe.
Something like that, yeah.
But so anyway, Elendil has his trial.
Yep, they're gonna fucking throw him into the ocean. When the queen shows up and says, "No, actually, you're gonna throw me into the ocean, and I'm gonna get eaten by the sea snake."
Yeah,
and
then no one will be happy.
Farazan is like,
Right.
I am very happy about this because you are my primary political rival, and you just want to fucking commit suicide. That is great for Farazan.
Farazan's like, wait, checks notes. No, we're okay with this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Please proceed.
So she fucking jumps in the ocean and gets pulled underwater by the sea snake, and everyone's like, well, shit, I guess she's dead.
Yep. The sea snake's like, what's up, baby? And she's like, no Edie today? And he's like, okay.
Okay, sounds good. And fucking
sends it right the fuck back
up.
up.
Shore. Yeah. And like Elendil grabs her and is carrying her away, and the crowd's like, "Hail the Queen of the Sea!" And
Farazan's like, "Motherfucker!
This was not the way it was supposed to work out. Like the fucking sea snake is supposed to eat you when you get thrown in the ocean."
So now,
what the hell?
Because of how their political system works, they need to figure out if the word of a falcon or the word of a sea snake is better.
Well, the eagles have big impressive religious value, but also the sea snake is like the direct representative of the Valar, I think.
Yeah.
So like, who has the greater authority here?
They're like, okay, summon the snake, we're gonna fight him against the falcon. Whoever wins.
Eagle.
Eagle, whatever. Aren't they sentient in the books? Like, don't they talk and shit?
Eagles?
Yeah.
I don't think they talk.
I think they straight up fucking talk.
Maybe. It's been a long time since
I'm pretty sure that they just are like, hey, what's up?
Maybe.
Deal with it. I'm a bird.
So yeah, that's Rings of Power.
That's fine.
Anyway, Penguin.
The Penguin. HBO's The Penguin. I don't know how this works out, that Batman is a WB thing, I think, and HBO is doing this show. I don't care because it's fucking great.
Yeah.
This first episode
So this first episode, I'm not convinced this had to be in the Batman universe, because I think if you take any generic crime setting and just try to put this in there, it would have worked.
Sure. It's very much trying to be like a Sopranos, crime thriller kind of a thing.
Very much so. Right down to the looks of the main character.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a very James Gandolfini air about him.
Tons of prosthetics. Like the accent is kind of...
Well, Gandolfini didn't wear prosthetics, but he was just kind of a big guy.
Prosthetics to make him look like that, right?
I like how they humanize him a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's a likable character. He's weird. The Penguin in this part of the Batman continuity is just kind of strange.
Yeah.
Because he's vicious. And
he's vicious, but he has his soft spots. Like he grabs one of the kids who was trying to steal the rims off his Maserati. He's like, "You're going to fucking work for me tonight." And at the end of the night, when he's like, "Hey, turn around and look at the sunrise," kid's like, "Dude, come on."
Yeah,
like, I've seen this movie before. Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. I'll work for you.
I made a comment when we were watching it that when he confronts this kid. So first of all, he kills the heir to the Falcone crime family.
Falcone.
Oh, right. Depending on what Batman you're watching or playing, it's Falcone or Falcone.
Yeah.
Because in the Dark Knight trilogy, I think they call him Falcone. In the Arkham games, I think he was Falcone as well.
But in this, they're Falcone.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. So he kills because John, what's his name's the actor's name from Severance, who played Big Daddy Falcone.
Big Falcone, yeah. So he dies
in the film, in the Matt Reeves film.
So Penguin kills his kid, who is the heir to the family,
and it was a split out of nowhere. Fucking he made fun of him, and he just I don't think he was planning to kill him.
No,
it's a moment of rage, just fucking like 4 or 5, just bam,
just
bam,
like
bam, bam.
Penguin is going about this mob boss from his youth and how he respected him, and the kid is like, that's fucking pathetic. Like, you want to be that? That's so fucking stupid.
And he laughed at him, and he does not like being laughed at.
I was like, fuck you, shoots him 4 times. He laughs,
and then thinks he's like, yeah, who the fuck, who's laughing now, you motherfucker? And then he realizes, oh god,
he did.
Oh no!
Fuck!
Yeah. And cue the title. Yeah, I said earlier when we were watching it that when he meets this kid, having a disability himself, he as he's about to like either beat the shit out of or kill this kid, he notices that he has a stutter, and it immediately softens him to him. And I think he had no plan to kill him then. I think he was when they were talking in the junkyard, I think he was trying to prime him to be like, or you could work for me.
Maybe.
Yeah. And I didn't realize going into this that we would get a Dolly Parton needle drop. But I love how they set it up, because at some point during the episode, he gets into another car, starts the car, and the CD he was listening to starts playing on the radio, or on the system, and it's Dolly Parton's 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. And he like scrambles and like takes it. He's like, oh fuck. And like the kid that's with him kind of smiles, because he's like, oh, okay, so maybe you're on some level just a dude, you know. We're introduced to Falcone's daughter,
Sophia,
from the comics, who in the comics she ends up taking over the crime, which I think she's poised to do anyway. She's batshit crazy.
So she's introduced, like her very first line is, I was released from Arkham. I'm all better now.
For doing crazy things. Yeah. And I like how like Oswald's like, gosh, she's so fucking crazy. What do I do?
So crazy. I killed her brother.
And she picks up on it immediately. Yeah. Like she figures it out like really quick.
She's like, hey, let's fucking go eat lunch. And he's like, God, I really don't want to, but I guess I gotta. So they go down there and they have this conversation. And on the way out, she's like, I always believed you were capable of more, Oswald. And he's like, fuck, she knows. Yeah. She knows.
Backs away slowly.
Yeah. So he and Vic, the kid, go out to visit his mom. And
who's also probably a little crazy.
Yeah.
She was convinced her 2 dead sons were in the bath.
Yeah.
And I love that look, by the way, because like
this whole scene does so much to humanize Oswald.
Yeah.
Because like he has an ailing parent who's older and
needs medication,
needs a lot of help,
but is also really vicious, and you can tell where he fucking got it.
And like she's living in that house alone, almost certainly because she refuses to go anywhere. Like even if Oswald wanted to put her in a home or get her a live-in nurse or something, like she'd be like, no, I'm fine, I've taken care of myself my whole life.
Yeah, we all know someone like that in our family too. Yeah,
absolutely.
There was an interesting moment where he fishes her pills, like her pill organizer, out of the tub, and she says something about the boys playing in the tub, and it like the camera lingers on Oswald for like a good like 4 or 5 seconds, where he's just like, oh shit, well, what do I do about this? And then he just glosses over it like she didn't say it, right? And then did you notice that he's like, okay, well, let's take your medication now that I'm here. And she never takes it. Because he gives her the pills, and he's like, here's your glass of water, and then she says, okay, but first, why don't you tell me what happened that made you lose so much respect for me? And then that's where he confesses that he killed Falcone, and she never takes that medication.
She's like, look, you motherfucker, like you killed him, sure, but now you're gonna run away like a little bitch boy? Yeah. Like, no, you're gonna go fucking back there. You're gonna take over the entire fucking city.
Yeah.
He's like, well, shit, I guess I'm gonna go take over the whole city now.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing I like about this character, is that he is pretty clever. Like he thinks of schemes pretty quick, and he a plot point is that Falcone was a rat. And was able to get Salvatore Maroni, one of the other crime families, head of the crime families, put in prison. Right.
And kept his ring
as a trophy. And when he died, the ring went to his son. And then when Penguin killed him, he took it.
Yeah.
And he visits Salvatore Maroni, played by the brilliant character actor Clancy Brown, in prison, and floats a partnership that he knows he's not going to agree to.
Yeah, let's work together. I take the Falcone's drug operation. I'd make it work for you. And Maroni's like, fuck up.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here.
Oswald's like, okay, but like, as long as I'm here, let me just return this ring that is yours. And Maroni grabs it like, what the? How did you get this?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that like he knew the question to ask immediately. Yeah, right. Not oh my gosh, this is like, oh my, like, how did you get this? It's like, no, but really, how are you the one that got this?
This?
And I love how this was the idea from this whole scenario that he put together in his brain was an old fucking movie they watched at his mother's house. Yeah. That was old-timey jazz.
Blame it on someone. Like,
mayor.
You just need a fucking
scapegoat, right? And so he enacts this plan for the last act of the episode.
Yep. So like Sophia sends
because she's closing in. She knows it. Yeah, she knows what's up.
She manages to catch him, and there's this protracted torture scene where he's like stripped naked and tied to a chair.
Yeah, but by the way, that's him in that fat suit and everything. Colin Firth. This is a good point to mention that Colin Firth plays this actor so well that, and I've seen him in other shit before, but because of all the prosthetics, he just kind of disappears into this character, and he's unrecognizable, and he uses this accent that so unlike his actual accent and everything. But you get a really good shot of the work that they put into making him look the way he looks, because he's just sitting naked in that chair, and it looks real. Like, he's covered in pounds of prosthetics, but it looks legit. Like, it looks like real skin and like real body parts and shit.
And like right when he's
his foot, when they show his foot later on, like or earlier, because he's got this like mangled club foot. And it like it's all prosthetic. I mean, he probably doesn't walk around with that, but it was just like a hero prosthetic for the shot. But like looking at that made my foot hurt. It's like, oh God, that just looks so painful.
So like he's getting tortured, like they got piano wire and doing some nasty shit, and like right when like he's in danger of getting killed. And Sophia's like all up in his face, like, tell me, am I crazy?
Yeah.
Do I look crazy to you?
Yeah. Her eyes twitching, and like he's almost like, no, you do
a little bit.
You look fucking nuts, lady.
And then this car crashes, and like everyone's like, well, what the fuck is that? So they go over there, and it's the car that they dumped Falcone the Younger's body in. And like Vic has set it up to look like someone else was getting revenge on him. And,
the Maronis. Yeah, because he's the one with the ring.
Yeah,
and that was his whole plan. Was you give the Maroni the ring, you make it look like they were taking revenge, and now they're fighting.
There's a gang war.
Yeah, and I'm fine. It's like where we sneak out the back, and everything is just great.
Yep.
And they go to a corner mart at the end of the episode that they set up earlier.
They get some slushies, and they're having a great time.
Fucking cue the Dolly Parton 9 to 5, and that's how the episode ends. Yeah. And you know what? I remember. I loved the Matt Reeves Batman film that came out a couple of years ago. I really did love it.
Yeah, it's an excellent movie.
And I liked Colin Firth as the Penguin in that. But when they were like, oh, we're going to do a breakaway series with the Penguin. We talked about this earlier, how like they've done spin-off shows for Batman characters before without putting Batman.
They haven't been good.
They've just been kind of shitty. And so, or spin-off films even. Like there's this whole travesty of a fucking Catwoman film that Halle Berry starred in from a couple decades ago.
Though the most recent Joker movie was pretty good.
Oh, yeah, no, that was actually fabulous.
So like
that sequel's coming out in a couple weeks ago.
Like they're trending better recently, but there is historically trying to do Batman minus Batman is not been.
Which by the way, I guess the reviews for the sequel to
Folie à Deux, or whatever it is,
for Joaquin Phoenix's the second Joker movie with Lady Gaga are very mixed. And it looks like, because I've kind of flipped through some of them, I don't think people get it. And that isn't very discouraging to me, because people didn't get the first one either until they saw it, like until people saw it and they're like, oh my gosh, this is actually kind of great.
Yeah.
So we'll be watching that, by the way, when it comes out. We'll do a little thing on it. Jimmy says, "G'day, fellas." No, sorry, what? "G'day, lads." He's Australian, doesn't say fellas. Chris, not you, Chris. Another Chris says, "May the force be with you, Daniel and Chris. I hope you're both having a good night, and thank you both for your awesome content."
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. I think that probably is. So let me tell you, on Monday I had surgery, and that surgeon just beat the fuck out of my jaw. And I go from, there's a spectrum between sore and my jaw's on fire. And I go through the spectrum, the closer I get to 6 hours since my last ibuprofen dose. Because they gave me some pretty good pain medication, but because of what's happened in this country, with the opioid epidemic.
They're a little careful about that.
They give me like a 2-day supply, and to be fair, the ibuprofen has been fine. Like after the first couple of days, but I've been talking a lot, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my jaw's kind of sore, so I think I'm gonna. We should probably stop.
My voice is a little rough.
Yeah, we had to talk about a lot of shit today.
It's a good place to stop.
Tomorrow at 7 o'clock Central, we'll be reconvening the boys from Dungeons and Dragons Season 2. So come and join us for that. That'll be fun. And then we'll be doing Battlefront and Outlaws probably at some point throughout the week. So take it easy. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you later.
Bye-bye.